Welcome to this explainer. So, I want you to think back to your own school days for just a second. You got the picture? Well, chances are, the system you grew up in, it's about to become completely obsolete. Today, we're unpacking a massive shift that is happening right now in K-12 education. We hear a lot about reforming schools, right? But we rarely look at the complete picture. The truth is, to truly modernize our education system, we need a dual transformation. We have to completely overhaul the experience for both sides of the desk, meaning we got to change how students learn, and we absolutely have to change how teachers teach and lead.
It all really starts with this foundational question. Why on earth does a 21st century student learn in a 19th century system? Think about it. If you were to time travel back to the 1920s or 50s and walk into a school, you'd recognize it instantly. But if you took a worker from, say, an IBM office in the 1950s and dropped them into Google today, they'd be completely lost. We've pushed our students into the information age, yet we're still processing them through this outdated factory model structure that was designed for a totally different era.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at two totally clashing concepts. On one side, we have the Google learner. Today's students literally have 24/7 access to all the world's information right in their pockets. They are hyper-connected. But on the flip side, we have the traditional metric our schools use, the Carnegie unit. Now, this is a hollowed, century-old standard that measures student progress strictly by seat time. We're essentially grading students on how long they keep a chair warm. It completely ignores the fact that learning today happens everywhere, all in favor of a rigid, time-based metric. Crazy, right?
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The outdated factory model. 2. The rise of micro-credentials. 3. Cultivating durable skills. 4. The teacherpreneur revolution. And 5. Building the 2030 school. Let's get into it. Section 1. The outdated factory model. Stuck in the past.
To understand where we're going, we first have to realize that our current system was fundamentally designed in the 1920s and basically locked into place in the 1950s. It was built to serve massive numbers of students in this factory-esque public school motif. It's literally an industrial model. And it's wild to think about how entrenched this is. In this system, there are over 3 million teachers sitting isolated at the very bottom of a massive top-down policy pyramid. Power is highly centralized, mostly at the state level. And because of this, the people actually in the room with the students, the teachers, they end up having very little say in the policies governing how those kids are taught.
Section 2. Rise of micro-credentials, a new path for students.
So, that rigid factory structure, it is finally beginning to crack. And it starts with what we call a micro-credential. The absolute crucial point here is understanding what a micro-credential actually is. It's a qualification awarded to a student or worker who completes a short, highly focused course to demonstrate a specific competency. Instead of sitting in a class for an entire semester just to get a generic letter grade, students can complete modules in a few weeks or even hours. It acts as a mechanism to validate actual practical skills over traditional one-size-fits-all diplomas. As we're seeing, micro-credentials are creating entirely new routes to post-secondary opportunities. The research clearly shows that early K-12 micro-credential programs have produced significant improvements in student interest and achievement. This is incredibly powerful for students who are deemed at risk because it provides engaging, highly relevant goals that offer immediate validation of their hard work. It's a real game changer.
Now, what I found absolutely incredible is the sheer scale of this movement. In just the 2018 to 2019 school year alone, across 30 surveyed states, K-12 students earned more than 1.3 million industry-related credentials. 1.3 million. That means this isn't some fringe experiment. Students are rapidly adopting career and technical education credentials in areas ranging from Microsoft Office all the way to construction, completely bypassing that traditional wait-until-college approach to career readiness.
Section 3. Cultivating durable skills beyond the textbook.
Okay, technical skills are great, but employers are telling us they aren't the whole story. Actually, right now, employers are deeply dissatisfied. Surveys show they simply don't believe traditional degrees guarantee entry-level success anymore. What they are demanding are durable skills. We're talking about things like critical thinking, communication, resilience, self-directed learning, and the ability to really work in teams. The beauty of the micro-credential movement is that school districts are now partnering with outside organizations to offer digital badges and credentials specifically designed to assess and validate these exact, hard-to-measure durable skills. Christina Luna from Digital Promise hit the nail on the head when she said, "Many of the forms of assessment that we have right now don't capture a holistic view of somebody's capabilities. I mean, a traditional standardized test simply cannot tell an employer if a student has empathy or if they're a self-directed learner, right? Alternative pathways and skill-based assessments are absolutely necessary if we want to showcase a learner's full real-world potential.
Section 4. The Teacherpreneur Revolution. Rethinking the Educator.
So we've got this modernized, flexible pathway emerging for students. But who's going to guide them through it? To rethink the educator, we first have to unlearn literally everything Hollywood has taught us. Cinematic tropes have severely misdirected public policy. We've got the docile, rigid Miss Dove from the 1950s. We have the rebellious mavericks like John Keating in Dead Poets Society. We have the isolated, self-sacrificing heroes working 80-hour weeks and freedom riders in Stand and Deliver. Look, it's a great plot for a movie, but as public policy, it's a recipe for massive burnout. These movies create an entirely unrealistic expectation that great teaching requires superhuman sacrifice and total isolation.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark global contrast. The average K-12 teacher in the US works about 54 hours a week and spends 80 to 90% of that time directly in front of kids. But look at top-performing nations like Finland or Singapore. Their teachers average just 18 to 20 hours of actual instruction per week. Why? Because the rest of their time is deliberately protected for leadership, curriculum design, research, and collaboration. They aren't isolated heroes. They're connected professionals given the time to actually innovate.
And this leads us to a powerful new concept, the teacherpreneur. A teacherpreneur is a classroom expert who still teaches students regularly, but who also has the time and space to serve as a teacher educator, a policy researcher, or a community organizer. The goal proposed by researchers is to cultivate 600,000 of these teacherpreneurs nationwide. 600,000! It's an incredibly ambitious scale, for sure, but we need to completely blur the lines between those who teach in schools and those who lead them.
Section 5. Building the 2030 School. Synthesizing the Future.
So let's see how this builds into a cohesive whole. In the school of 2030, the core functions of a teacher are radically upgraded. First, they actively teach the Google Learner using sophisticated digital tools to monitor learning 24/7. Next, they shape educational policy and research directly, taking their frontline expertise straight to the decision makers. And crucially, they act as brokers of learning. They're the ones connecting students to customized micro-credentials, apprenticeships, and amazing opportunities out in the community and in cyberspace.
The real magic happens when we fuse these two transformations together. You cannot successfully implement a modern, competency-based system of student microcredentials if you're still relying on isolated, burned-out teachers running a 19th century factory schedule. A modernized, flexible, collaborative teaching force is the exact key needed to guide students through their customized, durable skill pathways. They literally unlock each other.
Which leaves us with a final, vital question. We have the technology. We know the 19th century factory model is completely outdated. The micro-credential pathway is already proving successful for students, and the teacherpreneur model offers a sustainable, highly effective future for our educators. The blueprint is right here in front of us. So the only question left is, are we ready to trust our teachers and our students enough to finally leave the past behind and build the schools of 2030 today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.